The Milk of Hope. In a quiet village tucked beneath the shadow of the dusty hills of Pung, there lived a humble farmer named Ghulam Nabi. His life was simple, shaped by dawns that began with the lowing of cattle, and evenings that ended with the scent of earth and sweat. He owned a small piece of land and 6 cows, his pride, his wealth, and his survival. Ghulam was not a man of many words. His hands were rough like the bark of old trees, hardened by years of toil. His back had bent under the sun more times than he could count, but every day, without fail, he would rise before the first rooster crowed, walk to the small mudshed behind his house, and greet each of his cows like old friends. Each cow had a name. There was Sufi, the oldest and most patient. Then there was Peri, who always made a fuss before milking. Chami, the playful one. They were more than animals. They were family. Ghulam's wife, Rani, helped prepare the pails and warmed water. His eldest daughter, Maryam, would often hold the lantern in the dark winter mornings. His 2 younger sons, Adil and Hamad, would sometimes doze off near the shed, wrapped in woolen shawls. Milk was their lifeline. Once the cows were milked, Ghulam would pour the frothy liquid into clean steel cans, strap them to his rickety old bicycle, and ride 10 kilometers into the nearby town. There, at the bustling milk market near the mosque, he had a small stall, a wooden table shaded by a tattered umbrella. He wasn't the only one. Dozens of men stood there every day, their cans lined like soldiers. Yet Ghulam had built a reputation. His milk was pure. No water, no cheating. In a time where honesty was rare, he wore it like a badge. People trusted him. Housewives, tea shop owners, even a school canteen manager all waited for Nabi Chacha and his milk. He made just enough to keep the kitchen running. Flour for roti, lentils, some oil, and on better days, a piece of chicken for the kids. School fees were a struggle, but Maryam was bright. Ghulam wanted her to study, maybe become a teacher. Life was hard, but it was honest. And in that honesty, Ghulam found dignity. One summer, disaster struck. A severe drought hit the region. The well behind Ghulam's house ran dry. The grass withered. The cows stopped producing as much milk. Sufi got sick. Chami's ribs showed through her hide. Each day, the cans Ghulam carried to town grew lighter. Customers frowned. Some switched to cheaper vendors who added water and starch. His earnings dropped. At home, Rani rationed the food, and the children learned to ignore hunger. One evening, as Ghulam sat on the sharpai under a neem tree, he looked at the sky, dry and cloudless. "Ya Allah," he whispered, "just a little mercy." That night, he made a painful decision. He would sell The livestock market was held every Friday. Ghulam took Chami there, her rope tied loosely in his hand. As the man led Chami away, she resisted, letting out a soft, mournful sound. Ghulam looked away, eyes burning, but not from the sun. With the money, he repaired the well, bought hay and medicine, and paid Maryam's overdue school fees. Things got slightly better. The cows regained some strength. Milk returned slowly, but something had changed in Ghulam. He missed Chami's playful nudges, her unique way of flicking her tail when she was happy. The farm felt quieter. Months passed. Rains returned, blessing the earth. Green returned to the pastures. The cows grew fat again, and milk cans became heavy once more. One morning, as Ghulam was setting up his stall in town, he saw a familiar figure across the road, a cow, tied to a cart, being pulled harshly by a boy. She looked frail, but her eyes were unmistakable. He ran over. Indeed, it was her, older, weaker, but still she recognized him too, nudging his chest with her head. Tears welled in Ghulam's eyes. "What will you take for her?" he asked the boy. "She doesn't give much milk." The boy shrugged. "Give me Rs. 30,000? Ghulam didn't hesitate. He had been saving money bit by bit for months. That night Chami came home. Rani cried when she saw her. The children hugged her neck. Even Sufi let out a loud moo in welcome. The farm was whole again. Years rolled on. Ghulam added 2 more cows, and later, a buffalo. Maryam finished her studies and began teaching in the village school. Adil helped his father full-time now, while Hamad wanted to study agriculture and bring new ideas to the farm. The milk business grew. Ghulam never expanded beyond what he could handle, but he built a small reputation across neighboring villages. People still came to him for pure milk, and even though he had enough money now to stop waking before dawn, he still rose early every morning, tied a turban around his head, walked to the shed, and greeted his cows each by name. Chammy lived for many more years, passing peacefully one spring afternoon as birds chirped above. Ghulam buried her behind the shed, beneath the shade of the neem tree. Years later, an interviewer from a local news station visited the village to report on small-scale sustainable farming. They asked Ghulam, now a weathered man with a white beard and a calm smile, what had kept him going all these years. He looked into the camera and said, "Milk is not just food, it is life. These cows gave me more than milk. They gave my family dignity. They taught me patience, and they gave me a future when there was none. All I did was respect them back." The story aired that week. People from far and wide sent letters, some even donations. But Ghulam asked only one thing of those who wrote. If you can keep a cow, not just for milk but for the discipline, the compassion, and the rhythm of life it teaches you. And in that quiet village beneath the dusty hills, the cows still mooed every morning, and milk still poured into steel cans fresh, honest, and full of hope.